Ghost. Hey, how you doing? Light skin, thick.
Humans are frickin' weird. It's no secret, right? I mean, we can find entertainment out of the silliest of things. Some people get a kick out of watching fat people taking a tumble. Others will be content with giggling over a simple cat video. Not me, though. To me, there's nothing more engrossing than watching how a person conducts themselves while being inebriated or under the influence of some kind of drug.
I'll stick my balls up on that f***ing camera right now. You ain't gonna f***ing tell me to do something. I'm the Messiah, you're the sheep.
It doesn't matter if the person reacts negatively or positively, manic or imprudent, sloppy or cheerful, the energy is always unmatchable, and I continue to be fascinated by the behavior of these unpredictable, boozed up party goons. So, with that in mind, I've decided to take this unreasonably high amount of knowledge I have on the topic and rally up our favorite liquor lovers. So sit back, grab a drink, and get comfy. This is the top 10 greatest on-screen drunks. I'm gonna have way too much fun with this.
My son can kiss my ass.
Hey, ban me again.
It's like this.
Ban me again.
Get loud. I'm the man with the hotel that rocks the crowd. Walking down the street to the heart.
Oh, police are here. Okay, people, time to disperse. Party's over. Party, Obama!
And kicking off our tipsy top 10 is Randy Marsh from South Park. Now, he may be an animated character, but this family man is as relatable a character as any. You see, in this Comedy Central cartoon special, Randy is a passionate father to Stan Marsh, who's always having to deal with whatever new destructive and reckless antics his father is getting himself into, as well as his wife and daughter. This recreational drinker is open to any type of booze, and whether Randy is starting his own drug dealing business, or going through a midlife crisis, or even developing a boxing phase, alcohol consumption always seems to be involved in his little hobbies.
For what? Arresting me for what? I'm not allowed to stand up for myself?
As an example, on one occasion when Randy was trying to fit in and relate to the new college fraternity residents who recently moved into the neighborhood and were being a bit too rowdy for his family, Randy knocked on the fraternity house door to confront their noisy partying. Be that as it may, Randy, being the easily influenced degenerate that he is, ends up participating in their drinking games and even pledges to become part of the frat. The very next day, Randy limps down the stairs in his drunken hangover, having missed work, only to be confronted by his irritated wife, and his excuses are just hilarious.
I've joined a social awareness group.
And do they have booze at these meetings?
They serve refreshments, yes.
In the events of yet another memorable drunk Randy moment, he once convinced himself that he was a pro fighter who needed to train himself for the fight of his life, like Rocky or Karate Kid. Only the fight didn't take place in a ring or a dojo, but rather his son's Little League baseball game. And his opponents would end up being a parent of one of the kids on the team his son is facing while being blackout drunk. The match always ends with Randy being arrested and taken to the drunk tank, marking his legacy at yet another Little League baseball stadium and embarrassing his family yet again.
You don't have to get in fights with other parents at Little League games. Just sit there and watch.
Oh no.
Okay, now, since we're on the topic of blackout drunk, allow me to introduce you to our 9th nominee in this ignominious countdown of misfits. And man, y'all aren't ready for this next guy because he is as jolly as he is sober. If you don't know who Willie Soak is, that means you probably had a decent childhood. The movie titled Bad Santa is a holiday classic that came out in 2003, and if you haven't seen it yet, then grab your spiked nog this Christmas and give it a watch.
I'm on my lunch break, okay?
Anyways, old Willie here is a perpetual alcoholic throughout the entirety of this dark comedy, who one day meets a special kid who changes his perspective and helps him believe that he still has hope. Nevertheless, Bad Santa, who's played by Billy Bob Thornton, stays hammered in just about every minute of screen time he has. Literally. Thornton himself even admits to being under the influence in real life during the production of this film in some scenes. Now that's the type of method acting I approve of.
Actors drink alcohol in scenes without, like, have you ever done that?
There's a scene in Bad Santa on an escalator, and I remember that day I'd kind of overdone it.
For real though, this dude's an absolute psychopath on and off the booze, and honestly, he could have made it higher on this list if we had more than just 2 movies to go off of. But, to sum it up, Willie's the type of deadbeat drunk who is campy and delightful to watch in the movie, but would be an absolute nightmare dealing with in real life.
Shit! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Let's do it. Up the butt, y'all.
Geez, you okay to drive?
Shit. Of course, Mabel. Buckle up.
Wubba lubba dub dub. Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty. You either hate the show or you love it. Regardless, you've definitely heard of this unlikely duo at some point by now. This awkward Adult Swim animated series is basically an over-exaggerated parody of Back to the Future, only if Doc Brown was an alcoholic sociopath. Rick perpetually victimizes his grandson Morty and coerces him into being involved in whatever screwed up situation he got himself into on some other country, planet, or goddamn dimension, all the while staying plastered throughout the entire freaking journey. Rick Sanchez is open to consuming any liquid that will keep him shit-faced 24/7. This includes alcohol from other animated cartoon universes. He also always keeps a handy flask in his lab coat, which he takes frequent swigs of. So it's pretty safe to assume that this dude doesn't catch even a microsecond of sobriety. Now, having said that, this is still, however, just a frivolous cartoon sci-fi show, therefore the extent of realism in the themes of alcoholism doesn't reach very far. But that still doesn't take away from the fact that Rick Sanchez can be a boozy, petty, fun-loving, chaotic, and nihilistic genius who has absolutely no scope when it comes to his limit of capabilities. From the very beginning to the very end of each episode, he continues to show no signs of slowing his roll when it comes to drinking and terrorizing his family, regardless of the psychological damage it brings to him and those around him. And these are all the reasons why we love and hate Rick Sanchez, and why he makes the cut for number 8 on our list.
Too bad I lost my job for putting my students in the hospital.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the rum always gone? Oh. That's why.
Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum! Come on, did you guys not expect to see at least one pirate make it on this lineup? And what better freebooter to sail his way to number 7 than the captain himself, Mr. Jack Sparrow?
Captain Jack Sparrow, if you please.
Between the 5 Pirates of the Caribbean movies, Johnny Depp's leading role as Jack Sparrow was always the most exciting part of the films, with his charismatic charm and his treacherous, witty negotiation schemes. But most of all, Jack Sparrow loves his rum more than he loves the Black Pearl. In fact, rum is his #1 priority in general. I mean, what can I say? The man has great taste in women and alcohol.
But why is the rum gone?
There's something just so charming about Johnny Depp's performance in these movies, as he perfectly encaptures what makes a pirate so badass and insubordinate. His eccentric yet cool personality made so many childhood memories for so many people. And even revisiting these films as an adult, we still have a deep sense of adoration for this tipsy pirate. And so, for that, this legendary liquor icon makes the cut for his appealing likability, not only for the kids, but for the adult audience as well.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
And thank you for having your home. But here's the thing. So I'm gonna tell you, I'm Brian Rizzo. Figure it out. All right. Big ass dick. Check the Reddit. Let's go.
I've already seen it. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
What? Ooh, this is where it gets good. Okay, the rest of these drinkers are all like top tier. They should all be #1. And honestly, if I'm being real with y'all, I've been itching to talk about this guy ever since the beginning of this video, because much like chugging a sugar-free Red Bull after finishing off a 5th of vodka at a pregame before throwing up in the back alley of a trailer park, this Call of Duty live streamer is definitely an acquired taste.
Wow. Wow.
So to give you all a little back history of Only Use Me Blade, Brian Risso started his YouTube channel all the way back in 2009, where he would upload clips of him playing Call of Duty 4 multiplayer and racking up kills using nothing but his knife. However, as his channel progressed and he live streamed more and more, it was quickly recognized by his audience that Blade developed a bit of a drinking problem, and by 2015 he became infamous for his drunk live streams and began getting involved in a handful of controversies. You see, Blade liked to use his gamer words when he got drunk on stream, and would casually shout the N-word in conversation as if he were seasoning a dish.
Don't say that shit, bro.
I did not.
He'd sprinkled into his everyday vocabulary from here on out, whether he was arguing with his girlfriend, beefing with other YouTubers, allegedly abusing his animals, or even out of pure excitement while talking passionately to his audience. Anytime he would drunk stream and become his alter ego, Lit Romney, you could expect to hear him say it at least 50 more times. Needless to say, this off-the-rocker personality garnered a whole new audience who would feed into his habits, donating money in exchange for Blade doing shots or other odd requests. And so at this point, he'd pretty much moved on from video game streaming and would instead just drunk stream himself, doing all kinds of weird things that would get the trolls going, such as disturbing other customers in the supermarket, blacking out and vomiting Jägermeister all over his trailer, which is a common occurrence, or more recently, getting kicked out of hotels and hopping to new ones because trolls would find out where he's staying and harass the staff until they're left with no choice but to kick him out. Despite getting numerous channels taken down, Blade always finds a way back onto the stage and frequently appears on the Lolcow podcast these days, where he seems to be trying to improve his ways and continue to entertain. But yeah, like I was saying, not everybody will find Blade funny like I do, as he can be awkward and embarrassing to watch most of the time, not to mention wildly offensive. And so, whether you like it or not, it seems Only Use Me Blade is here to stay and grace your screens with more Jägermeister shots and Lit Romney devilment.
They got big ass and their dads them. Cheers.
You want to bunk with us? I mean, it's gonna be tight, but, you know, mi casa, su casa.
I'll get a motel, thanks.
Why don't you yourself?
What? I'll give you a ride.
Adios, amigos.
Well, you finally made it to the halfway mark, and after I get done introducing you to this folk in low life, you might need to consider taking that halftime intermission. Now, think of the most stereotypical crackhead trailer trash redneck, and then think of him as a playable character in a video game. And no, we're not still talking about Only Use Me Blade here, but instead Trevor Phillips, who is one of the 3 protagonists in Grand Theft Auto 5, and much like his predecessor, this Trevor guy here is also the noisy neighborhood drunk. Only take all that energy and crank it up to 10, and give him a jerry can filled with gasoline. Yeah, now you're starting to get the idea. Anyways, in GTA 5, you get to meet Michael, Franklin, and Trevor, who come together to pull off a bank heist, along with several other deviant and illegal activities, obviously. Franklin Clinton is basically the young former street thug who's looking to make bank. Michael DeSanta is the retired bank robber who's trying to settle down in his mansion with his wife and kids. And then there's Trevor, who's probably best described as the mentally unstable psychopath. What's funny is every time you switch to play as Trevor, it cuts to him waking up in some random-ass place where he got drunk and passed out while you were out doing missions as a different character. Usually in like a strip club or like a back alley or even some stranger's house.
If you can't trust a hooker to hold you through the night, who can you trust, eh?
Plus, he always does his best work when he's got a little alcohol in him, which is why the option is always available for the player to crack open a beer in his trailer, or the whole damn case. Same difference. Assuming Trevor is always in a blackout, which he likely is, some of his most notable moments include breaking into Michael's mansion and scaring his family, smashing a liquor bottle over the head of one of his drug-dealing customers and killing him, or, our favorite, kidnapping a cartel leader's wife and throwing her in his trunk. Yeah, sometimes he crosses the line just a little bit.
But I did kidnap his wife! Oh, no! Oh, shit!
So I guess the main takeaway when comparing him to the rest is that, although the previous contenders qualify as caricatures or TV personalities, Trevor is unique in that he's a video game character, and therefore there are no limits for the player's alcohol-compulsive tendencies, and that's why this wild dirtball makes number 5.
Whoever wins gets banned.
He's one. Ban him.
Oh, hey, Stewie. Hey, sometimes when daddies drive home drunk, they come from far away places, but it's okay because they didn't get arrested and they're still kind of drunk, so they think it's okay.
You should know that Mom has emotionally let you go. It won't be long before she takes a lover.
Oh, my head.
She already has 2 cell phones.
Alrighty, folks, grab yourself a Pawtucket Patriot Ale and put on the song Surfing Bird by the Trashmen as we talk about the cartoon, quahog, blue-collar, Irish-American, TV-obsessed legend himself.
Peter Griffin!
Proud, loving father, true American patriot, raging alcoholic. Actually, he's mostly just that. Family Guy is a beloved and wildly popular adult cartoon show that originally premiered on Adult Swim all the way back in January 1999 and continues to air new episodes on Fox to this day. The episodes mainly focus on Peter and his wife, as well as his 3 kids and talking dog. The show often likes to focus on classic movies and pop culture, but another big theme is alcohol, mostly due to Peter's impulsive binge drinking and his reckless obsessions. Though despite Peter's drinking habits, the themes in this show are generally unrealistic and wacky in nature, focusing on the more comical and goofy aspects of being drunk. Like for example in that one episode called Wasted Talent where Peter discovers that he can play the piano really well, but only when he is intoxicated. Seth MacFarlane's sense of humor is what makes the show so great. In one episode, the show imitates Willy Wonka's chocolate factory but with beer.
Take a drink and you'll sink to a state of pure inebriation.
Another instance where Peter got so ridiculously fucked up that I find particularly ludicrous is when he found out at the age of 43 that his real father is actually a fat stinking drunk who lives in Ireland. He and his dog Brian head overseas to meet him, and in classic Peter fashion, in order to prove that he is in fact his biological son, he challenges him to a drinking contest in which he wins. In return, his dad then accepts him as family, and they break into dance and sing about it. And speaking of breaking out into song, one more particular drunk episode is called Friends of Peter G, where Peter is forced to attend 30 days of Alcoholics Anonymous. And after going to only just his first meeting, he comes to the conclusion that his drinking isn't the problem, but it's the sober people instead. And the very next day, he walks into his next AA meeting with several cases of beer, resulting with the whole group getting drunk. And then when a cop shows up to the scene responding to a noise complaint, Peter manages to conduct a fake congregational singing with the rest of the members, fooling the officer into believing that they were only being loud because of a motivation rally and not because they were partying. So I guess you could say Peter is perfectly capable of playing it cool, even while being in a blackout.
That's a shame. What a shame. Who's to blame for Corey Haim? His name is Mr. Bruce. Mr. Bruce, Mr. B-double-O-Z-E. You must refuse. You'll make the obituary. Bearing news if you mess with Mr. Bruce.
Hey everyone, Shoenice again. Well, basically this camera looks a lot better than my other one. And now we're going to have lots of fun. Lots of fun.
On your mark,
King face.
get set,
Mark Simpson face.
Shoenice. Dude, hear me you when I tell you that this next guy has undeniably earned his place on the top 3 tier list. Well, basically, Shoenice has to be one of, if not my personal favorite drunk streaming lolcows of all time. There's actually so much to cover when it comes to Shu that I'm not quite sure where to even begin. The legend begins on YouTube's 2008 Wasteland, where he started his first channel. Who knows what type of content he would post around this time, it doesn't really matter. What happened was his friends managed to find his channel and would comment on his vids telling him that he should upload videos of him doing similar stunts that he used to pull back in high school. And it didn't take much convincing, as this spawned his first of many Shoenice Eats Toilet Paper videos. From this point on, he would just upload videos of him eating weird shit, chugging bottles of condiments, and of course, occasionally, his notorious liquor bottle slams. Self-proclaimed competitive eater, Shoenice was in his peak in terms of internet popularity around 2012, even getting the attention of Tosh.0. Anyways, eventually his shtick wore people out, and many started to question his unpredictable and just flat-out strange personality, along with his excessive drinking. Nobody really knew how Shu acted when he was drunk, since in his liquor slam videos he would turn off the camera right after chugging. That wasn't until he started live streaming. And oh my god, was this guy off the rails when he's drunk.
You fucking people make me fucking sick to my stomach.
He'd complain about his exes, call out people who interviewed him in the past. Shit, he's even said that Tosh.0 can suck his dick. Above everything else though, he can be hilarious. If you're anything like me and you think cringe comedy is the holy grail of our existence, you will die of laughter listening to him go on and on and on in one of his streams. He's a completely sloppy, ticking time bomb of awkwardness and discomfort. My all-time favorite live stream of his is actually still watchable here on YouTube thanks to a channel under the name of Max Caulfield. I go back and revisit it every once in a while when I'm in a tough spot in my life. It is the most uncomfortable and embarrassing 2 hours and 7 minutes of your life, and it's jam-packed with the most hysterical quotable lines that I still call back to in my head from time to time, if I'm being honest. Like on a Monday morning when I'm driving to work, I'll just be like,
I'm not here for a good time. I'm here for a money time.
And just like Only Use Me Blade, he also frequently makes little cameo appearances on the ongoing Lolcow Live podcast, as well as whatever new channel he's using that hasn't gotten taken down yet. So, if you're a fan of watching a drunk clown lose his mind while scarfing down raw steaks, swallowing down whole uncooked hot dogs, or inhaling 20 Twizzlers, I'd suggest you check yourself in. Or, check this guy out.
I made drama. I caused the hate. Hate and good conflict bring change. All praise to Born. Bring it, bitches. Thank you.
Just need something to help me focus. Coffee. No. Cigarettes. No, tequila. No, I just need the right music. To do drugs to.
Oh, poor BoJack Horseman was once a super popular Hollywood star back in the 90s when he was in a very famous TV show. Nowadays, he ain't looking so hot, and his new role in life of being a sad, washed-up, alcoholic, has-been actor is only just beginning. Now, I do have to admit though, in contrast to pretty much every boozy buffoon prior to him who was unfortunate enough to make it on this little list, BoJack's alcoholic journey has a rather bleak and depressing theme to it, despite being a cartoon, shedding more of a light on alcohol abuse and addiction. Make no mistake, the episodes will have you giggling every other scene, but that's not to say you won't be left with a harrowing, stark message by the time the credits roll. You see, BoJack had a rough life, and a troubling childhood, all of which is recalled throughout flashback scenes, as well as his constant tendency to blame his foul and inexcusable attitude towards others on.
You are all the things that are wrong with you. It's not the alcohol, or the drugs, or any of the shitty things that happened to you in your career, or when you were a kid. It's you. Alright? It's you.
Guilt, shame, sorrow, trauma, regrets. Pretty much all of this describes the taste that's left in your mouth with the passing of each scene in this series. BoJack is constantly trying to sabotage his best friend's healthy relationship, perpetually setting his roommate Todd up for failure in fear of losing Todd's reliance upon him since he's a manipulative narcissist. But probably the most toxic and destructive relationship in his life was with his former co-star, Sarah Lynn. Since BoJack was probably like the closest thing she had to a father figure in her life, she'd typically come to him for advice. It's pretty unsettling considering the nature of his own life, but yeah, eventually Sarah Lynn visits her old co-star to catch up with him, only to be forced out of her short-lived sobriety, going on a bender filled with all sorts of pills, liquor, and every other drug you can imagine. And all because BoJack was feeling weak and sorry for himself at the time. This episode actually ends with Sarah Lynn overdosing right in his arms, to which BoJack responded by immediately trying to cover up his tracks in fear of being responsible and arrested for her fatality. Yeah, the guy's usually always thinking about himself first, with others kind of just being an afterthought. And also it turns out he probably could have saved her life had he not been such a coward and didn't wait so long to call an ambulance. So yeah, despite BoJack Horseman kind of growing up and transforming into a lolcow or low horse man, the main reason really as to why this character places number 2 is not because of the laughs, but rather the total opposite. His story really has the most depth when it comes to illustrating the dangers of alcohol abuse, and you can actually learn a lot of gut-wrenching lessons from this Netflix animated original entirely. Hold up. What the hell are you doing? Don't you want to know about the folks who didn't make it to the big leagues and instead are the whimpering honorable mentions? Yeah, I didn't think you did, but we're about to announce them anyway. And so with that said, the first bumbling idiot is an internet streamer who goes by the name of Ethan Ralph. That's right, the Gunt himself. If you know anything about the self-proclaimed Ralpha male, then I am genuinely sorry. Anyway, he's a right-wing nutjob who runs a show called The Kill Stream, and he basically lost more and more credibility with every appearance he'd make online. He recently moved to Mexico due to a lengthy list of allegations against him, and still, to this day, hops his head in a couple streams here and there, and continues to do and say weird and despicable shit. And then as for this next guy, you all know him, you all love him, everybody's favorite Duff beer drinking donut lover, Homer J. Simpson.
My name is Homer Simpson!
I highly doubt you would be here by now if you aren't familiar with this yellow nuclear plant safety inspector from Springfield, but to give you a brief rundown, The Simpsons has been an award-winning, family-friendly animated Fox show since 1989, and throughout the episodes you quickly realize that Homer loves two things most, TV and beer, rightfully so. And much like our fourth entrance on this wacky countdown, this blue-collar American is a recklessly impulsive drunk, bumbling idiot with a wife and 3 kids and does not seem to have his priorities straight. And so ultimately, in conclusion, if he's not back at his home sitting on the couch in front of the TV ignoring his family, you can catch Homie having a drink with the guys at a local dumpster fire called Moe's Tavern.
Just get out this door, Rummy, and you're the city's problem. If you make it through the night, you're welcome back.
And last but not least, looks like we got this next guy here whose name is Evan, a mediocre video maker on the internet, currently working on content for a small YouTube channel who practically lives and drinks in a cheap motel and scrapes to get by with nothing but his... Oh, are you kidding me? I told them to leave me out of this. What the...
About 2 billion people across the world consume liquor. A small percentage of those fall into the category of excess. But whether you drink a little or you drink a lot, every drop of liquor tells a different story. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting liquor story with your host, Jim Leahy.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, please gather around, take a seat, and show some respect to the liquor snurf, the liquor captain, Fucky the drunk clown, but most of all, the top-tier contender in this deranged competition of drunk bastards, the one and only liquor god from Nova Scotia's finest Sunnyvale Trailer Park, Mr. Jim Leahy.
Slim J. Pleased to meet you, bud.
Jim.
Okay. It's definitely going to be a challenge trying to place what it is exactly that makes this fan-favorite comfort character so fun and endearing to watch on screen, but all shame aside, I will try my best. Anyways, nevertheless, this man claims he is sober enough to know what he's doing, and drunk enough to really enjoy doing it. So, with that in mind, pour yourself a little drinky poo as we dive into the pool that is Mr. Leahy. Whether it's his unhinged loony liquor rants, or his obsessive authoritarian paranoia, this hawk sure knows how to make binge drinking until you piss yourself look like a fun time. Despite Leahy being fired from the police force many years ago due to being drunk on the job, that doesn't stop this delusional park supervisor from hunting down the criminal residents of his home, whom he refers to as puppets, and illegally detaining them while dressed in his retired police uniform. John Dunworth's character on this hilarious mockumentary series is a brilliant representation of the most carefree and reckless style of the art of getting drunk.
Julian.
Mr. Leahy demonstrates several times throughout the show that he's been at this game for so long, in fact, that he is 100% capable of acting sober when necessary, even after drinking extremely heavily, hiding vodka in his water bottles to appear professional and in control, when in fact he 100% is not. When he's not out getting intoxicated in public, you might see him in his trailer labeling his large bottles of liquor with the name of his next target that he plans to reward himself by drinking that bottle after getting said target arrested. However, much to Jim's chagrin, the majority of his schemes either backfire or end up with him going to jail, but this determined ex-cop never gives up on his dreams of sending the boys to jail for good. Though honestly, if you ask me, it's kind of like a dog chasing a car scenario, as once he finally gets them locked up, he won't have the game of chasing them anymore and he will likely get bored eventually. But that's just my theory, of course. What do you think about this guy? I already know that if you made it this far, you must be familiar with the liquor captain who never abandons his sinking ship, Mr. Leahy, and why he concludes this ranking as number 1, deeming him the king of the alcoholics and the ultimate on-screen drunk of all time. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you disagree. If you do, then tough shit. It's like, no, I actually am genuinely interested in what y'all thought about this one. So please, yell at me in the comments. Throw your empty bottles at me. I don't know. Let me have it. I was probably drunk off my ass anyway when I made this fuck. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to tell you this unless it was the right moment. Now ain't that sad? Ain't that sad, baby? Ain't that sad?